Yo, kiddos. Let's go ahead and review a little bit about China, um, and then we'll add some new notes. And for those who yesterday did what they were supposed to do for bonus points, watching this, I got you taken care of, and I'm going to give you another bonus point opportunity today. If you watch and listen and review. So you're rewarded if you actually watch these videos on the day you're supposed to watch them and take your notes and stuff. So I wrote a little something for you about the video with Shi Wan Di. I know that some of it can be quite disturbing, and I understand that. And I understand that if you don't want to watch parts of it anymore, I get it. And unfortunately, this man was a bad dude, and what he did was unfortunately not uncommon back then. It was a very violent, sad time. World history is full of people that, to get to the point of power where they were going, where they got, they did some very bad things, and um, that would be definitely Shi Wan Di's mindset. I mean, the guy wanted to try to conquer the afterlife. He was crazy. What I want to do is, and I wrote this in the video, or on my post, is having an open discussion about it, talk about it, because this is some of the stuff in world history that you need to get. When we are in person, I usually show this when we're all in person, and then after each time we talk about it. But obviously we can't do that. But I do want to talk about it with you guys, have an open discussion about it, and try to explain some things to you better. So it's from the BBC, which is like our version of the ABC, NBC, or CBS. That's where they showed it. So they did a series on different people. But anyway, so the Shang Dynasty, first dynasty of China, first writing system, used oracles to predict the future. I told you about the turtle shells. And the Zhao dynasty, how they came to power through this mandate from heaven, this idea that the gods were displeased with the current dynasty, so they stuff occurred like disasters and floods and famines, etc. And because of that, they felt like the gods were mad at the current dynasty, so they put a new dynasty in power. And how they used the manor system. And I do need to put a video up there for you guys on how the manor system worked, because it was used mostly in medieval Europe. And I explained how the Zhaos lost power because of the lighting of the warning fires. There's the dynastic cycle, the mandate from heaven. Confucianism, focusing your life on your family and leading by example. Founder was Confucius. Lao Tzu, who founded Taoism, living in harmony with nature and peace and balance in nature. The yin yang's the symbol. And then legalism. Belief for people are evil and must be controlled by strict laws and strict punishment, which was definitely Shi Wan Di's belief. Who was the first emperor of China, strongly in favor of legalism, part of the Qin dynasty, is where we get China from. You probably saw, you're getting to the video where he is getting paranoid, and he is literally going insane. You're going to see, if you choose to watch the next part, is he starts taking mercury pills, which is, mercury's a element that's poisonous, and he thinks it's going to give him eternal life, and he actually goes full insane trying to shoot fish people. You'll see that. He did do some decent things. He made a universal writing system that made it easier for people to communicate. You had a universal currency system, which made things and prices of things so people knew economically how much things were worth. He built roads to the capital, which is going to help with transportation, and canals to connect waterway, which was going to help with transportation. I said this before, even though this is the Qin dynasty, the Great Wall of China, most well known of the Chinese structures historically. It started being built during the Zhou. Biggest expansion was during the Han, but it was built for many, many, many years. And some of the stories about how that was built is very disturbing too, to the point like they had the peasants building this thing, and if somebody died, when a peasant died, instead of like burying them, they would literally bury them within the wall. Which, so like literally it's called one of the largest tombs in history as well, because so many people were buried within the wall because they didn't stop building it. You should be in the video knowing about seeing the tomb and how that would work, and how each terracotta soldier had its own face and weapon, and how he thought literally he would conquer the afterlife with these soldiers. Life-size soldiers. The Qin falls and the Han comes in. Of course, civil war occurs in China in between that time to who is going to control China. First Han emperor was Liu Bang, and Liu Bang was a peasant that used this mandate from heaven idea. People believed that he should have been in power, so therefore he was put into power, and he lowered taxes, made punishment less severe, and really sort of brought in Confucianism back into China. So your bonus today is, if you want bonus points, you email me, and you need to tell me what is your favorite holiday. What is your favorite holiday? If you want to email me that for bonus points, you can. So after Liu Bang's death, Wu Di comes into power, not Rudy. But I always make the joke that whenever he comes into the palace, they all chanted, Wu Di, Wu Di, Wu Di. Corny joke, I know. Made Confucianism the official Chinese philosophy. You had to take a test on Confucianism if you were going to be in the government, and only the wealthy were allowed to take these exams. So really, you're getting back into your higher ups on the social hierarchy having any chance to run the government under this Wu Di guy in the Han Dynasty. So in the Han Dynasty, the social classes were pretty thin in the fact that 90% of the people were peasants. So if you were thinking of the triangle of the social hierarchy, the top levels would be really small, and then most of the pyramid's going to be peasants. They were farmers. Not a good thing socially. Very, 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 very important slide about some Han achievements. The Chinese, and we're going to talk more about this later, the Chinese invented many, many, many things. Here are some during the Han Dynasty. A couple poems. Not too concerned about you knowing those, but they were the first to make paper. Not the paper like the papyrus that the Egyptians used, but the paper like we use, where they ground the fibers together, and then they put water on it, and then they let it dry, and then when they let it dry, it turned into this paper. The sundial, and I'm going to go back and forth to some pictures, so you can see. If you look at the bottom left, there's the paper making. The upper left is the sundial. That's where the sun is in the sky. It will reflect off of this thing in the middle, and it will tell you what time it is based on where the sun is. Whoops. A seismograph. A seismograph is something that detects earthquakes. And this is really quite fascinating here. See this bottom right thing with the frogs? That's a seismograph. Now, our seismographs today literally look like a needle on a piece of paper that looks like a heartbeat. And when an earthquake comes, it really jumps. You've possibly seen that before. Well, this seismograph does not work that way. There is a pole there in the middle of it. You can't see it, obviously. And in this pole, on each little inside, so it's really hard to explain without an actual picture of it inside. So inside of this jar is this pole in the middle of it, and there are little channels leading out to these dragon heads. See these dragon heads on the outside? Little alleys leading into these dragon heads, and there is a rubber ball, okay, by each one of those little channels leading to those dragon heads. And when a earthquake hit, it would knock over this pole and push the ball out of the dragon's head into one of these toads, and that told you where the earthquake was coming from. Okay, pretty crazy, right, Mr. Moss? I don't know what you're talking about, how that worked. I'll try to do a better job showing you later on how it actually worked. And then acupuncture, and that's still used today. Acupuncture is where you stick fine small little needles in the skin at nerve points and pressure points to relieve pressure. And there's the poster of the pressure points. A lot of athletes still use acupuncture today. There used to be a football player named James Harrison, played linebacker, and he had a knee issue, and after every game he would get acupuncture in his knee to relieve the swelling and stuff, but people still get acupuncture done quite often. Okay? And last couple of things that I would consider possibly to be the most important, well, I'll tell you what, we'll get to the last thing tomorrow because I want to spend actually some time on it. Last thing the Chinese created was silk. This is actually made out from a worm. A worm makes a cocoon. People take the cocoon and they thread it out and to make silk. Very fine fabric. Still expensive fabric today. But tomorrow we're going to talk about something called the Silk Road and the importance of the Silk Road and the importance of the meeting of the East and the West. And we'll talk more about that tomorrow. So stay safe. Enjoy the snow. Please keep up with your stuff. And I'll talk to you tomorrow.